Betting Weekly Live here with you on a Monday, a new week of Betting Weekly Live, of course, on the Betting Weekly Studios, part of the Bet Rivers Network. Great to have everybody with us. Mike Carver along with Doug Kezirian as we get you ready for all of tonight's action. We've got Monday Night Football with the Eagles and the Chargers. We've got a couple of NBA games, a couple of hockey games, and lots to talk about over the weekend from the NFL and, of course, college football now that we know who will be in the college football playoff. What a lot of fun that was yesterday. Doug, how are you? Happy Monday.
Well, it's funny. It was so avoidable. If ACC just figured out their tie-breaking rules in this modern day and didn't have such a nonsensical situation where Duke with 5 losses got to play instead of Miami. But either way, we turned the page. Like you said, we only care. Put 2 teams out there and put up a point spread and we'll roll. And that's what we got for those that have decided to play in their bowl games. And that's the new wrinkle to everything. But that's okay. I like to break eggs to make the omelet, and that things have to get uncomfortable before we get comfortable. I'm okay because I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. Look, change is never clean. And so if the bowl season and all this is this what it takes, fine. Who cares? Let's just get to it. But you're right. We have our bracket and there are betting opportunities. We're going to take a look at the futures market. The Heisman is still on the board, and still not budging from my guy. So look, it's we have a light card in the college hoops and even NBA, but the sports world goes on regardless of the pundits and the shock jocks.
And so we will, as you said, we will get into a little bit more of this college football playoff stuff in a little bit. So I will hold off on that, Doug, in our opening line, of course, all the takeaways from the weekend. We'll do plenty on the college football playoff and the futures in a moment. So I guess on the opening line, Doug, I'll go to, did we finally do it last night? Did we put the Chiefs to bed? Is it over after losing to the
I'd say
Texans?
so. I'd
Yes.
say so. And we've been trending that direction. So yes, your Buffalo Bills are spared facing the Chiefs in the playoffs, but I mean, I know you're as a card carrying Bills fan know enough not to put the cart before the horse, but I will
No.
say the Bills have found new ways to have their heart broken. So it really is just setting itself up to find how they can do it this year differently and without Mahomes.
It is now setting up, though, Doug, and this is probably more towards when we get to the futures with the NFL, but it's the opening line, and we're going to do it anyway. It's now
Sure.
kind of setting up to if the Chiefs and the Ravens miss the playoffs in the AFC, which is a very good possibility right now. Could the Bills be the favorite to win the AFC with not playing a home game before the first weekend? Could they be?
For not having the buy. Yeah, probably. I mean, were you ever or are you even worried about the Ravens? I mean, if there's ever a team
Probably not.
that the Bills can make fun of for their postseason performance, it's Baltimore. I mean, yeah, they won with Flacco, but this Lamar Jackson tenure and like they find gut-wrenching losses. They think the Bills, I mean, they're jealous of the Bills' pain from their postseason because the Ravens are that much of a farce when it comes to the postseason.
It is true. Allen is 2-0 against Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. So I guess, I'm just from an odds perspective, I guess, saying with the Ravens and the Chiefs out of the way, the Bills would be the last of the preseason
I
big
think the
three,
Texans are the Buffalo's
uh,
biggest concern.
especially if they had to go down there. Really anywhere at this point. I think playing that Texan defense anywhere is going to be a problem for anyone moving forward. We will do that as well. But let's kick things off for tonight's action with the final game of week 14. And that, of course, is the Eagles and the Chargers tonight in Los Angeles at SoFi. Both teams 8-4. Both teams need it. Eagles -2 coming off a couple of losses. 41.5 is the total. We've got the Justin Herbert injury situation. Broken bone in the left hand. Going to play either way with the little cast on, similar to what Rodgers has done the last couple of weeks with the Steelers. Eagles and Bolts tonight, Doug. Let's go.
Been mocking teams that like stop trying to catch the falling knife, like stop trying to think some team's going to turn around, whether it's the Chiefs and here I am doing exactly just that, thinking the Eagles are like this is the game, this is the game, and we see it in the comments section. Can we trust the Eagles today? Now I was on the Bears Thanksgiving weekend. I didn't think they'd respond after blowing the 21-0 lead to Dallas. The problem is Jalen Carter. his absence is significant. They are statistically a completely different team without him, and I just can't get involved. The problem is that the Chargers have too many loose ends. A, they don't really have a home stadium. I think the crowd will be very Eagles. Two, Justin Herbert, as you mentioned, Carver, his right hand or his left hand, just like we're one play away from seeing Trey Lance, and that's just not what I want in a wager. So I think um, all signs would point to the Eagles, and the Chargers have laid some eggs against some teams that have come out west, whether it be the Colts and other teams. Um, I would love the Eagles if not for Jalen Carter. So that's my concern. And I just can't pull the trigger. I don't even want to take the teaser +8 because that makes a lot of sense from a key number standpoint. But if Trey Lance is out, then you're just doomed. And it's one of those things we talk about it a lot. If this game were Sunday afternoon, amongst other games, we would not be betting it, or at least I would not. So let's not force it just because it's the only NFL game.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Eagles, Doug. I think, if you were forcing me to take a
Right.
side tonight, I think it's Philadelphia. I'd be nervous about Herbert. I saw Brandon King's comment there at the bottom. Like, as we get into props, even too, like Herbert rushing tonight, like he usually does like to run around a little bit. Is he maybe not going to do that as much? But his hand's busted up anyway, isn't it, Doug? Like, honestly, like he's going out there and playing. It's his non-throwing hand. Is he gonna? It's not like he's gonna get bashed and come out of the game. He's got a cast on it. It's like all those guys that run around with the clubs on defense all the time. They can't hurt it anymore. He's gonna run.
They're going to put him in a shotgun 24% or 24/7. I mean, is he going to be shotgun the whole time?
Yeah.
He's a gamer. Like he's tough. It's just I'd rather just wait for the game to start and see how he looks, and if he's timid the first time he has a chance to run. Like those are the things I'm looking for, and that's the advantage we have on this side of the counter. So I'm just not. Look, we may lose some line value if the Eagles go up 3-0 or something, and you might have to lay 4.5 if Herbert's limping around. But I'd rather lay 4.5 and know Herbert's uh, compromised than having to lay 2 and having such an unknown.
Uh, Anything with the total 41.5. I mean, Chargers defense pretty good, especially against the pass. You mentioned no Carter for the Eagle defense could make a difference. It feels like it's kind of right about the right spot at 41.5, right?
I would agree with that. Again, Carter out changes everything. But again, this team's lost twice, right? Back to back. I think they're a good team to back in terms of effort and performance, or the entire locker room's fractured and this is just a hot mess and Sirianni's, lost the reins here.
As far as the props go, there was one that I kind of looked at. It feels like Hurts, the rush tonight is a little bit lower than usual. It was 29.5. It's up to 30.5 now. Really good pass, Doug. I'm thinking not only are we going to get those designed runs for Hurts, but with the Chargers being so good in coverage, might allow us for maybe a couple more scrambles than usual also out of Hurts that could maybe get us to this 30.5.
Well, I realize Aaron Donald's not playing, but they being the Rams and Chargers, some of these teams prioritize up the middle, right?
Mm.
And that's what the Chargers are going to want to do, and that really disrupts Hurts. We've seen that when they faced the Rams earlier. That's what I was thinking, and then also other teams. Like that's sort of the Achilles. When you rush him from the outside, he'll read how the tackle defends and blocks, and then he'll find the lane. So if they go too wide, he'll find an angle because he's so big that he doesn't need to completely, like he can break arm tackles and pass rushes that are being blocked. So that's what I've noticed in previous opponents. So I think he's got a green light and everything. It's really just a tough game for me. I think I'm just like weaseling out of everything because I really, really wanted to bet the Eagles, and then Carter being out screws everything up, to be honest. But look, he's been the last 3 games, 31, 33, 31, and then before that 27, 22. So it's like, okay. I mean, we see it's right around this number.
It's right around there. And I love touchdowns a lot. I couldn't really put my finger on anything. I know the Goddard numbers really slipped, I guess, because he's been non-existent the last few weeks. I mean, it's back in the threes at 310. he was hot early in the season. He had that run where he was scoring almost every week, and now it's like they don't even throw him the ball anymore. Maybe we're catching a little bit of a good price on Goddard tonight at 310. Chargers pass defense is what makes me leery, though.
Yeah, I'm always, now that we're in December, do you really like put a lot of stock in like how certain things have unfolded the first couple months of the season?
It's hard.
Let me
Yeah.
be specific. So the NFL is like a week to week league, right? And so much of it is matchups. And Belichick was the king of it, right? One week he'd have 50 rushes, next week he'd have 50 passes based on the opponent and their weaknesses and things like that. So I always sort of question, oh, this team's really bad to running backs catching out of the backfield. Well, do teams run the same defense every week? Like, I don't know. I know the baseline is the same. Like, oh, this is a 4-3 defense versus a 3-4, right? They don't change that. But I just wonder, yesterday, for example, the Bucks faced the Saints, and everyone said the Bucks give up the most receiving yards to running backs ever. So, Devin Neal, and he had one catch because maybe they faced McCaffrey, and McCaffrey leads the NFL. Like maybe it's more of a strength of
Yeah.
the opposing team's offense, or just break down plays where the quarterback's about to get sacked and flips it to a running back who missed his block and pass protection. Right? I just question a lot of this. Like if we see it, so do the coaches. So that's why, like when you said Goddard, like if a team does something really well offensively, I don't really care in this case if the Chargers are like weak or strong against tight ends. Like
Right.
they haven't faced Dallas with Goddard yet, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's very different facing Kittle versus like some random tight end,
Right.
although there seems to be really good tight ends everywhere nowadays. But that's sort of my rant about other people trying to find the needle in the haystack with a very simplistic approach.
Very much so. And you mentioned the Bucks. If you survived yesterday by not having the Bucks, congratulations to you, right, Doug? I mean, if you're still in Survivor at this point after the Bucks lost yesterday, hat tip as you move forward, in whether you're in a massive pool or not, because that was a tough one. All right, last thing on this game, I'll give you a special with the prop. In my view, here's one from Rose Putt first. In my view, Hampton back with Carter out is the biggest factor in the game. See, I'm not sure, Doug, how much to put into Hampton. Vidal's been really good with Hampton out. So I don't know if it's just going to be Vidal's just going to be on the shelf the entire night now that Hampton's back. I think they're still going to mix Vidal in a bit because he was so successful while Hampton wasn't out there.
Yeah, no, I think we've learned that I don't want to say running backs are all kind of interchangeable, but I really don't care. Like, unless you're peak Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry,
Right.
I mean, Ashton Genty is as replaceable as any sixth round running back. Sixth overall pick running
Yeah.
back. I mean, look at the Bears. They have a ninth round or seventh round. I mean, it's just like it doesn't matter. I mean, Scatterbo was a third round. I mean, it's just all of it's so funny. So if you're telling me the Chargers got a new guy, next man up, the running back is that type of position.
And also, let's remember this. If there's one thing that the Eagles had to clean up from last week, and I know Carter's not there, it's their run defense after the Bears tore him to shreds on the ground in that game last week. Here we go. Special from Bet Rivers tonight. Merry Christmas, A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown to record at least 25 receiving yards in the first half tonight of Eagles versus Chargers, boosted from minus 148 to even money here. Look, this is tough, Doug, because there's a world we live in where Brown catches, 3 or 4 balls in the first half, and there's a world we live in where Brown doesn't catch a ball all night, potentially in this game. So this is very tough, right down the middle.
Uh, if your cardiovascular doctor, if your cardiologist suggests it's okay to bet on AJ Brown and watch these games, then I'll be it. Then be my guest. I can't figure this out. It's a mess. I'm all over the place with the game. Look. I think he's a weapon, and he's got the neon pink shoes. Can't miss him if you're Jalen Hurts. I say go for it because it's fun to root for a guy in pink shoes.
Let's go. That's what I like. A little go for it out of Doug there for the special tonight at Bet Rivers for AJ Brown in the first half. I'll jump into everybody here in New York on my Bet Rivers app. Let's do so there you go. Eagles and Bolts, the Chargers tonight in Los Angeles, Monday Night Football to finish off week 14. We'll do some futures now. Let me start here before I get to some of the numbers that we have. I saw this across the bottom of the screen and it ties into yesterday and maybe even going forward. One in the chat box as we first came on. Are we going to start to put some respect on Jordan Love's name? Now, Doug, not only have we seen these in the chat box, but I think me and you have even gotten a couple tweets about this the last few weeks with Jordan Love. Are you going to put some respect on his name now?
I mean, he did throw a touchdown pass off his back foot, which has been his bugaboo. And it just so happens that the defender wasn't that good. I mean, they faced the Bears at home, who've won like a million straight. And frankly, we're not sure what a coming to win if Caleb Williams can just look at DJ Moore. So am I going to bet him at 9-1? No. Now, can he win? Of course. It's a dumb league. Brock Purdy was one game away from winning the MVP. So I think Love is fine. I think he makes too many mistakes for my, temperament and my frustration. But is that a growing pain? Fine, maybe. He's also been around a while and he's backed up. Like he shouldn't be as sloppy as he is. But maybe LaFleur's play. I don't know. Like the running game's not the same anymore. But whatever. Like I'm not going to die on a hill that Jordan Love's terrible or anything like that. I just said I'm not. At one point this year, I said I'm not 100% convinced he's like a franchise quarterback. Like I would be shocked if he flamed out in a couple years. We're going to see guys that do that, right? I'm trying to think of guys off the top of my head who've looked good and then flamed out a little bit and are no longer a serviceable starter. I mean, I guess Russell Wilson, but that was the late end of his career. But like something like that could happen. Like I'm not convinced this guy's very good. I mean, you know?
Yeah, no, it's still a long way to go for Jordan Love with the Green Bay Packers. All right, how about the MVP? I saw those odds flash up there when you were talking about Jordan Love. Matthew Stafford, as we head into the final game of Week 14, is the favorite at Bet Rivers, minus 167. Drake May on a bye week, plus 200. Then Jordan Love, and then Josh Allen at 14-1. Who had an all-timer yesterday, a couple of incredible runs, 40-yard touchdown run, a run to seal it at the end. He was doing Josh Allen things, kind of rescuing the Bills in that game at home against Cincinnati.
Yeah, these awards markets are pretty bizarre. We've talked about them, and you just wonder, like, how much December plays a role. It always plays a bigger role. But if he can just sort of will his team to win like he did yesterday, I mean, the comeback, the 3rd and 15, tucking and running to get the first down so they didn't have to punt. I mean, 4 total touchdowns. He had 6 a few weeks ago. And if they go on a run and he carries them, and look, there's no Mahomes, Lamar's out of the mix. I know he's the reigning MVP, and it's really tough because of voter fatigue to go back to back. But he's got a monster game this weekend in New England. Then he plays the Eagles in a primetime afternoon game. If he closes out with 6 straight wins, and let's say the Rams stumble a little bit, and then obviously if they win in Foxborough next weekend, then Drake May's candidacy takes a hit. I just wonder if he can get there by default, and it's 14-1. So just throwing that out there. Like I haven't bet it. I would need maybe 20-1, 18-1, but I don't think 14-1 is worth a play. But I'm keeping an eye on things. I thought of it during his, action yesterday.
There's a path. I mean, you need a lot of things. I think you're right. You need the Seahawks to overtake the Rams, and they do play each other in a couple weeks. You need.
Oh yeah.
See, the problem is even if they win out and they beat the Patriots this week, they're still going to need help to win the division because the Bills have a loss to the Dolphins in there. So they would need the Patriots to lose a game to either the Jets or the Dolphins the last 2 weeks, which I guess with the way the Dolphins are back though now, Doug. So maybe that's possible. Dolphins are back. They're right there. Same record as the Chiefs.
And like it's not common, but we could see an MVP from a wild card team, right?
Sure.
I mean, we could.
Sure. Definitely not out of the realm of possibility. That's no doubt. Rookie of the year. We haven't talked about this a lot because it seemed like as we were moving forward, there was a couple guys that kind of moved to the top of the board that you thought were locks, and then some guys got hurt. I mean, they weren't locked so much anymore. As you dip a little bit further down the board, there's Travion Henderson there at 18-1. There's McMillan at 150 minus money. Jackson Dart, who's missed a lot of games. Ibuka, who really hasn't done anything the last 4 or 5 games. Warren has been hit or miss. There's Henderson at 18-1, Doug.
You just listed the guys ahead of him, and I'll go through it. Tyler Warren, it's now Riley Leonard time in Indianapolis.
Yep.
So I'm not thinking he's going to get a lot of action, right? And we saw Bowers have a tough time last year getting some recognition. So that's a concern. Igbuka's been dropping. The offense isn't the same. He may have a rally, but Dart, look, in this award, quarterbacks don't automatically get it like they do the MVP. So Dart's not going to get there, and the team stinks, and he's missed time with a concussion. And I know it's the New York market and everything, but there's reasons that he's not there. And McMillan's odds-on favorite, and I get it, but it's still the Panthers. It's still Bryce Young throwing the ball, and he's, he's really talented, but he's not their only weapon. And he could have Travion Henderson's been their leading rusher in like 6 straight games. I mean, the problem is Ramondre Stevenson gets too much of the action, but Henderson's got wheels. He's had big touchdown games, and that's my concern. I mean, he had 3 touchdowns a few weeks ago on a Thursday night. If he can be the bell cow in maybe bad weather in Foxborough, I don't know. This team's a high-profile team, and you're getting pretty enticing odds at 18-1. He's not getting a bulk of the carries. I mean, he's between like 11 and 15, so to speak, is his range. I still think it's probably worth the play at 18-1.
It's definitely worth a shot. Now, because look, I think Dart is the one on that left side that you would probably look at. And I think Dart's got a great shot, because remember this too, if he stays healthy, the Giants have some winnable games this last month. Washington, the Raiders, like he's going to get a chance. But I don't know if he's going to make it through the last 4 games the way he plays, Doug. That would be my worry with Dart, is that he might not play them all. And then that's
the offense play well.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's going to open the door a little bit more. I did want to give you this too. You mentioned the Texans before. They are the 4th choice at plus 550 to win the AFC. They are 14-1 to win the Super Bowl. Any interest?
Not really. I thought Andy Reid gave the game away. The way that the defense was playing, it was just a reckless, illogical move to go for it, 4th and 1 on his own 30. In these types of situations, and I'm usually very aggressive, you just have to look at risk versus reward. What was the reward by going for it? And you didn't have anybody in the backfield on 4th and short, okay? But what's the reward? Let's say you convert. Okay, you have a first down on your own 32. Great. Right? There's like a 60% chance you're going to punt, 70% chance you're going to punt anyway, because no one's moving it. So why do you go? The reason you go for it in like the positive 45-yard line is the risk is, okay, you probably give up 30 yards of field position. But in this case, you automatically put Houston in field goal range, and they weren't doing anything on offense. Your defense was the best unit on the field. Spags had them on their heels. Stroud was under fire. They were on the road at Arrowhead. The place was rocking on a Sunday night. It just risk reward. Like getting the first down didn't do anything for you. Okay. You do that when your defense can't stop anyone, and really you're punting, but they're going to get the ball back and right where you're punting from in like 2 plays anyway. Those are the times where possession matters so much. In this case, position mattered so much, and your defense was doing so well. It was a silly, reckless move. So I'm not convinced Houston would have won that game. So they didn't go into Arrowhead and dominate it. Now the defense did, but some of this is just Mahomes' deep ball is not the same and everything. So I'm not sold. I think D'Amico Ryan's a little shaky. I would need loftier odds for that type of wager. And I mean, the flip side is I don't know who's going to prevail in the AFC. It could get really sloppy. Other than the Patriots, obviously, have demonstrated they're the team to beat.
I'm with you. I think the offense and the coach leave a lot to be desired to go out and reach and grab.
But I thought Stroud was like vintage Mahomes last night in the second half, particularly.
Stroud did play well, but other than Nico Collins, there ain't a lot out there for him to go to help him out, and that would worry me in a divisional round in any of these January playoff games, especially probably on the road. Looking for that guy. All right, so there you go with the NFL. Don't also forget at Bet Rivers tonight, NFL primetime first touchdown, Second chance bet for the Eagle Charger game. Players who opt in on the BetRivers app or at their betrivers.com on their account will receive a second chance token for any first touchdown wager on each game day of primetime NFL games. See the BetRivers app or the website for more details. NFL primetime first touchdown, second chance bet this evening. There you go. All right, college football, Doug. We have it. The college football playoff. We have the bowls too. If you're interested in that for teams that actually decided to play in them, there are some there are bowl games. So let's do the college football playoff. As we know, the big story was Alabama and Miami in, Notre Dame out. The buys, of course, go to Indiana, and what a win for Cignetti and the Hoosiers on Saturday night in the Big Ten title game. Indiana, Ohio State, Georgia, and Texas Tech will get the buys. It is James Madison and Oregon. It is Alabama, Oklahoma. It is Tulane against Ole Miss. It is Miami against Texas A&M. Doug, go ahead. You give your reaction first to all this.
Well, this was avoidable. If ACC just had normal tie-breaking rules, we wouldn't have had like the biggest snub, so to speak, would have been like what, Texas? Like, who cares? Like, they had 3 losses, including 2 bogus wins. Like, they had no business in this. And maybe BYU, but they demonstrated on the field they can't hang. And Vanderbilt, which had a good resume, a worthy resume, but
Right.
no one's thinking they could have run the table, won it all. So it was just avoidable. And it's really unfortunate, to be honest, because usually teams that would have snuck in as the last at large didn't really have a chance to win it all. But I do think Notre Dame could have won it all. And that's the disappointing part here. This format was created to try to find a clean way in an inefficient sport to find, a team that's can win the national championship, right? Give them a chance. You want to give everyone a chance who's really can win it on the field. And that's just a stupid, we're sitting here with 2-point spreads over 2 touchdowns. Both group of 5 teams don't belong at this particular year. In previous years they do, but not this year. And it's just stupid. It's a stupid way we didn't have enough fine print. And that's the issue. So with that being said, we got to bet some games and futures, and that's what matters to us.
That's what matters. And I'll just say this too. I think you're right. I think people are spending too much time about the Notre Dame versus Miami or versus Alabama thing, when really for me, it's the ACC screwed this up by how they have their tiebreaker and the whole language of the group of 5. There were years, Doug, where this is why this happened. We go back to UCF. This is why this all really came into creation, right? UCF never got a chance. Cincinnati got a chance in a 4-team playoff. They were in. They earned their way into it when they were still a group of 5 before joining the Big 12. I think they need to reorganize this. Well, first of all, they can't reorganize anything. They're lost, all the people that run college football.
Well, I mean, and the other stuff was avoidable, right? You didn't
Right.
need to drag out the Miami Notre Dame thing. You didn't
No.
have to be. The problem is like the guys who are in charge or the chairman's like they're not like smooth speakers. Like
No.
it was a word salad every week, and we just didn't need that nonsense. So yeah, we can clean some things up, but honestly, the committee did fine. Like they did their job.
It's just like you said, having Jimmy Madison and Tulane both in when both are, this isn't a year where you have a group of 5 team in the top 10. I just feel like I know there's asterisks. It's hard to say you have to have them, or maybe just if they're in the top 10, you have to have them. It's a must. You're just looking a way to get the 12 best teams and just putting one of these teams in. How are you always having the 12 best teams? Are there years they belong there? Yes, there are. But this year, Doug, neither of them do. Neither of them are one of the 12 best teams. It's just
Right.
hard.
All right. So, I mean, there are ways around this, right? Like the word when we had the 14 playoff was unequivocally. It was like the 4 best conference
Right.
champs, unless the team is unequivocally the better, a non-champ better. And then that's all you need. That's all you need to have a room, literally adults in the room. I mean, that's the phrase. You have them in the room to figure this out. And
Right.
we shouldn't have so many have fine print, have loopholes where you can just say, sorry, we're coming over the top here. Common sense will prevail.
Ohio State is the favorite, even after losing the other night. They are plus 230 at BetRivers. Indiana is plus 250. Then you get into Georgia, Oregon, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, And then Bama, Miami, and Ole Miss are all kind of around the same price. And then it dips to Oklahoma. And then obviously you have the two bombs with Tulane and Jimmy Madison.
So the way the bracket plays out, I think it's really favorable for Ohio State. Now, why do I say that? They get the winner of Miami and Texas A&M. If it's A&M, that defense stinks. Okay, A&M, yes, had an undefeated season until their final game in the SEC, but they really avoided every landmine. I mean, they faced four teams that fired their head coach. Okay, so when you have an 18-team super conference, even though it's the SEC, everything broke right for the Aggies. Very prolific offense, but they have a suspect defense. I think Ohio State can carve them up. If it's Miami, Miami's obviously going to be really good, but I think Carson Banks shoots himself in the foot too much, things like that. I think the Buckeyes will face Georgia or Ole Miss. If it's Georgia, that defense is tough against the run, but Ohio State can throw, and they got wide receivers, and Bulldogs' weakness is defending the pass. So I think we're going to see Ohio State in the championship game. Now, the other side of the bracket, the top half, I think is really tough. I think Indiana's really good, and I think they showed that on Saturday night. Now, I think they wanted the game more than the Buckeyes, which is why I liked the Hoosiers. But I think Texas Tech is legit. I think Oregon's pretty solid. I think Bama can make a run. I just think Bama, their margin for error is too narrow. They don't really dominate and blow out teams. So if they screw up a 3rd and 1 or something like that and lose yardage and punt, like those are the things that can swing their games. I don't think they're good enough to overcome that, and I think that's going to come to a head against the best teams. So I think Ohio State's a rightful favorite. I don't want to bet it because the odds are too low, but Texas Tech has my attention at plus 900. I think they're really good. And Sataki, the coach of BYU, said in the post game that they're the best team in the country, and that's not something he's going to say to sort of defend their margin of loss. And I just don't think he offers that without being. He's not like a Big 12 homer or anything like
Right.
that. So I think he knows what he's talking about. And frankly, they have the best defensive front in the country and the best linebacker in the country. So there's a lot to like here with the Red Raiders. I know they've been out of the national championship picture forever, but they're very much live here.
I feel like Ole Miss might have a little bit of that, screw lane type of rallying cry behind them. That game against Georgia that they played earlier in the season, they were playing them toe to toe until the fourth quarter. They obviously have this game against Tulane, who they also have already beaten this year. I don't think they're going to have a problem there at home. In the 20s, I could see them being one of the 4 teams left. So if
Possibly, I just worry that Kirby Smart's in-game adjustment capabilities against a
right,
guy who's having to manage timeouts for the first time and all that.
that is tricky.
I don't know. And look, I need an answer. I need an answer if Lane Kiffin's the wizard behind the offense or it's Charlie Weiss Jr. Who was calling plays? Who was in charge? This is what I don't get when there's like when Bieniemy was the OC with Andy Reid. Like who's calling what? Like is he? I mean, are they? Yeah, they're working together, but ultimately, like I want to know if Charlie Weiss Jr. really like the guy orchestrating this offense, or is it Lane Kiffin? Because obviously, only one of them is going to be there when they face Georgia.
Miami and Texas A&M over 51.5, Doug, already on the mind for a week.
Yeah, definitely on the mind.
Over 51.5. And
How can you not? I mean, there's a solid defensive front, but this Red Raiders offense is legit enough.
yeah, it is. That's one.
Sorry, the Miami. I mean, sorry, the A&M offense. Like
Yeah.
their defense stinks.
That game could be a fun one where you can get both teams in the 30s. That Miami Texas A&M game, we could get ourselves a bit of a track meet. Hopefully, it's good enough weather down there that day at Kyle Field for us to be able to do that. So, and 16.5 and 21 are the numbers in the big games. 16.5 for Ole Miss and 21 for the Ducks. It's a long trip for Jimmy Madison fans out to Eugene in that night game. So college football playoff is upon us as we move forward. We'll be talking about it a lot the next couple of weeks. NBA for tonight. Only 3 games, Doug. What's the NBA doing on a Monday night? Sleep? Oh, because they got all their NBA Cup tomorrow. It'll pump up the NBA Cup. That's why. These are the games, Doug, they filled in, right? They fill these games in after the teams were set.
No, the Spurs play Wednesday.
Oh, that's right. The Spurs are in the NBA Cup. That's true. The Spurs are part of it. So no, this was these games were there on the card. Why don't we begin? There is a game on Peacock tonight. Suns and Timberwolves. This is just after 7:30 East. Minus 8.5 at Bet Rivers for for the Timberwolves right now. 224.5 is the total.
So, there's expanded standings, and you can look at records and things like that. Minnesota overall is 15-8. Okay.
Mm.
Against teams below 500, they're 13-1. So they dominate teams that are bad. Against the better teams, they're just 2-7. The problem is the Suns without Devin Booker and who knows if Dylan Brooks is going to play. I mean, this version of the Suns is not very good. So that's why I'm torn. Also, a little bit of revenge potential because Minnesota lost to Phoenix earlier, but they're just too unreliable. Suns are off a bad loss. They got blown out by the Rockets. I just and the number feels right. There's just too many moving parts here, but that's why Minnesota has been such a good fade against quality teams. But on paper tonight, Phoenix is quality, but they're not this version.
No, not this version at all. But it is, as you say, it's tough. Tough to trust Minnesota laying any kind of points with some of the games that they've been playing, especially over the last couple of weeks. Elsewhere tonight, Spurs, as we mentioned, are in New Orleans against the Pelicans. This game's just after 8 o'clock East. Spurs now minus 9.5. 237.5 is the total here.
Well, Stephon Castle's expected to make his return off an injury, right? He and Wemby have been out, and he's a dude. But does he disrupt the offense here? I think Spurs are a good bet. They are really solid team and legit. Without Wemby, they've adjusted to life, and they're coming off a loss where they led at halftime in Cleveland and blew it. And now it's a long road trip, maybe unders the play because that typically happens. But this Pelicans team, when they're shorthanded, they suck. Okay. No Herb Jones. They got issues. Zion's obviously out for a couple weeks, but Jordan Poole's been out. Like they're running their offense through Trey Murphy and Derek Queen. I think the Spurs run him out of the gym. Castle coming back disrupts things a little bit, but he's so good and he doesn't really force the team to change the way it goes about things. Like he's not Wemby, right? That would disrupt everything. So I'm rolling with the Spurs here.
Spurs in New Orleans against the Pelicans before they head out to LA for that Wednesday night NBA Cup game with the Lakers there. The other game tonight, the third game, is Sacramento in Indy against the Pacers. Right now, Pacers minus 4.5. 234 flat is the total. And don't look now, Doug, but the Pacers,
Mm.
they've actually won a game here or two recently, unlike the first few weeks of the season. They've actually won a few
Yeah.
games.
Yeah, they've won 3 of 5, including their last game against Chicago, and the Bulls are unraveling, by the way. So I can't lay 4.5 with the Pacers, and the Kings are coming off a nice win against Miami. Like, that's impressive. Can they follow that up with sustained success? Like, excuse me, that's a definition of good teams. I always look when the Russell Westbrook's playing, is he facing a former team? No, the Indiana Pacers are not a former team. So we say, okay, don't have to bet on his rebounds prop. But the Kings have been a much better team with Murray. Number feels right. If I had to, I would take the dog. Pacers can't lay 4.5, but you're right. This is a different outfit, right? We talked about it early in the year when they got McConnell back, when they got Matherin back, they're Neesmith, all like they got too many injuries. They're playing randoms. Obviously, their bigs are in some issues right now. But hey, Huff's been fine off the bench. Um, with Matherin, Siakam, and Nebhard, like that's a quality like big three, if you will. But it's Kings are pass for me.
Kings are pass. So only 3 games in the NBA tonight. NBA Cup quarters tomorrow. Heat
Mm,
Magic, Knicks Raptors. Can I interest you in the Raptors? It's 16-1 to win the NBA Cup before we tip off tomorrow night, Doug.
not really,
Okay.
because if they ever got to Vegas, that home court is not is nullified.
Right.
So no, and I don't think Ingram and like they're not that good.
Mm,
They'll catch teams on road trips at home and stuff like that, but they're not that good. Like they should have won last night or yesterday. The Celtics were off back-to-back big wins and they still were down 20 and a half. Like the Raptors, like I don't think like their best player is Barnes. He's really good. I think he's like potentially the second best player on a championship team, not the best. And then Ingram is not the second. He was thought out to be like, oh, another Durant. And he's like the fourth best player on a championship team, maybe third.
Raptors are dogs at home tomorrow night to the Knicks, 4.5 right now in that game. Um,
Knicks are kind of beasts at times.
they
Like
are.
they were just nuking the Magic, although got a little hairy late. Um, they're pretty good, man. They got a lot of firepower in that starting lineup.
They do. They have got a lot of that. There's Rose right there. Solid point. Watch every Sacramento game, and their defense is historically bad. But I like the 4.5 today. They do have a pretty bad defense, Sagar. They do got pretty bad defense.
Yeah, I you're going to be fine if you want to bet against the Kings. I just don't think today is the time to do it.
Not today to get involved. So NBA for you tomorrow night, the NBA Cup. Okay, NHL. More NHL than NBA tonight. 5 games
Ooh.
on the ice this evening, including the NHL Network Showcase with Tampa Bay and Toronto this evening. Of course, Tampa, Doug, they have been on fire lately. Actually, they lost 3 in a row. They were on fire, and they've been cooled off, especially by the Islanders, who have beaten them twice in those 3 losses that they do have. They are road favorites tonight in Toronto. The total is 6.5, and there's only one way to go because it's a Leaf game. And even though Tampa, these last couple of games have kind of fallen short in terms of where the firepower was during that 8-game winning streak, it's got to be an over tonight, Doug. It's got to be over 6.5 with the Lightning and the Leafs.
Why is that?
Because it's high octane, baby. The Leafs play these high octane games, and when you get the Lightning in that scenario, they're not getting bogged down with how like the Islanders have been playing a little tighter lately, low scoring games. The Lightning are going to get opened up being around the Maple Leafs, and they're going to put a lot of pucks in the net tonight. It's an over. Let's go.
Hey, fire it
Fire
up.
it up.
Fire up the engines.
Fire up the hockey tonight. Over in Toronto with the Lightning and the Leafs. There are a few other games. As we mentioned, Buffalo is in Calgary against the Flames, which is actually like minus 112 both ways tonight in that one. The Kings are in Utah against the Mammoth. Kings are minus 117. Kings are a very good road team, as we've discussed, Doug. They stink at home, but they're good on the road. You're getting a short number on them in Utah tonight. Utah's played a little bit better recently. Detroit is a road favorite in Vancouver. Vancouver has, they've also been playing a little bit better lately, too. It's probably Detroit or nothing for me in that one. And Minnesota is in Seattle against the Kraken. A lot of road favorites tonight, Doug. Minnesota, Detroit, LA, and Tampa. 4 of the 5 games, the road team is favored this evening.
Interesting. You mentioned the Kraken. I got to go back to my calendar to see when they play next on a back-to-back.
It's next week. I was looking before, actually, because when I was going through this the games this morning, I said, did the Kraken play yesterday? And we in one of those spots tonight? But they did not. It is actually the 22nd and 23rd. So 2 weeks away is when it is. They have, and it's back-to-back on the road. In San Jose, in Anaheim, in LA. So not really taking a plane. They're just going down the freeway, but it's still back-to-back nights.
Okay.
Coming up in a couple weeks. Wild have lost a couple games in a row. So that's why nothing really for me for Minnesota tonight. Kind of like Detroit, kind of like LA, but it's not something that I'm running to, Doug. A couple of these, one or two of these home dogs are going to win tonight. Couldn't pick out which ones it's going to be, but I think 1 or 2 of them could win tonight.
What about the Islanders game tomorrow? Tomorrow. We eyeing any of those? Because those are some of the teams we like to play. That caught my eye as I was looking for a Kraken game.
Well, the Islanders, of course, they were in Florida this weekend. They beat Tampa. They lost to the Panthers. Vegas won at the Garden last night, right? They won in overtime against the Rangers. Islanders have been pretty good lately, plus 105 for them, and that flat 6. So that's tomorrow night at UBS. We get Vegas is having
The under has my attention. As for the home dogs you were mentioning, it's tempting.
See, they're not big dogs, Doug. They're not massive dogs.
Right.
It's not like there's like a 130 or a 135 out there. Like they're all like 105, 110, even money. Like there's really not, they're kind of coin flip games. Honestly, most of them. Even like the Leaf game, like even that's even money for the Leafs, as the dog. So I would need a little bit more. Really, it's just that over in Toronto that I like this evening, Doug. That's probably about it for me. So there's your hockey for tonight. Now, not one of the best college basketball nights. We're going to say that in advance. In fact, I think there's only 6 games on the board. Texas is playing against Southern. They're laying 21 and a half. Grambling and Southern Miss. The great Mississippi Valley State's grabbing 37 and a half in the Little Apple against Kansas State. Lafayette and Penn. And it's always fun, Doug, when Incarnate Word and New Orleans get together. And Incarnate Word is 1.5 on the road. So you gotta be a diehard tonight, Doug, to get involved here.
I actually bet against the New Orleans women yesterday.
Ooh.
They were catching 67 and a half against LSU. I laid it with the Tigers and then laid it in game 63 and a half, landed 65 thanks to a late three-pointer by New Orleans. So the New Orleans ladies fall to 0-8 on the season, but they do get the cover. I split my wagers. As for the men's, no action there. Unfortunately, no East Texas A&M playing tonight. The
No.
Lions got us the cover on Friday at UConn, down just 12 at half, and they lost by 32 or so. We were catching 38 and a half. That should have been my best bet. I like the spot because the Cons tomorrow at the Garden against Florida in a rematch of the tournament game, and the teams that have combined to win the last 3 titles. I got no action tonight. I mean, Penn should take care of Lafayette, but don't want to lay the points. I guess the only question is, does this Texas team, obviously they've been a little shaky out of the gates, new coach, all that. Do they get back on track against Southern? They sort of are back on track, even though they lost to ASU. Like 6-3 is not the worst start. Um, I don't want to lay 21 and a half, but I certainly wouldn't take the dog there. And Kansas State laying 38 and a half. That's a big number.
Never want to lay that many points in the Little Apple. Go in there in the Little Apple in Manhattan, Kansas. You can't have it. And I think you did. Now, what did we have Friday night? We didn't get the Daily Double, of course, because James
Lost
Madison
both.
and I thought we were about to get the more ridiculous covers because they looked like they were obviously trying to go in and get that game to 24 at the end, and they just came up short. And I couldn't remember as I was flying across the zip line at the Wolf Lodge this weekend with my daughter, if we had 58 and a half or 59 and a half with the Boise UNLV when we left here Friday night, because I know that my slip had 59 and a half, but some people they had 58 and a half. So I wasn't sure, Doug, if you got a cross on that one or not from when we left.
On the show, we had 59 and a half.
Okay, so we didn't make
really,
it.
really painful. We almost punched it in late, much like your Dukes of James Madison, because the running back right before the victory formation, he did try to score, but he got angled out of bounds.
He did.
Style points. I don't know. Look, it wouldn't have mattered for the Dukes seeding, but at the time they don't know that. So maybe you would punch it in, but it was it was a normal thing to take a knee and stuff like that. It was gentlemanly, just wasn't good for the it wasn't good for the
Wasn't good
boosters,
for
let's put it
us.
that way.
Go put it in, coach. Come
No.
on, let's go. Try to get in the college football
That would have
playoff.
been a gross cover because we got a scoop and score right before that.
It would have been. We had no business even having a chance of covering that game. Let's get to tonight. The best bets and the Daily Double for Betting Weekly Live. I kind of just told you. I love that over in Toronto. I like usually on the Monday nights with the football going to the NFL, but I think there's a lot of unknowns with the Eagles and the Chargers tonight. So I'm going to stay on the ice, Doug. I'm going over 6.5 with the Leafs and the Lightning in Toronto on my side.
All right, I'm going to go to the NBA. Don't love it, and that's something to keep in mind when we only have a few games to choose from. It's our best bet, but it doesn't mean it's the best of a lot of options. I do like the Spurs. I think they take care of business. There's no reason the Spurs shouldn't win this game by double digits. Yes, it's on the road. Yes, the Pelicans have been frisky at times, but this Spurs team's off a loss, and the Pelicans are just too shorthanded. I think San Antonio rolls them here.
So there you go. The Lightning Leafs over 6.5, Spurs minus 9.5, plus 250 at Bed Rivers tonight for the Daily Double. Let's go. Me and Doug are due, babe. We want to get back in the win column on the Daily Doubles here. These guys in the morning are catching us. They've had a nice run of wins. Great job
Nice.
by them. And now we gotta get ourselves back up, Doug. We gotta push that number back a little bit higher. So Spurs and the over in the hockey in Toronto this evening. Doug, tremendous job as always. Enjoy the games tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. Remember, 4 p.m. East, 1 p.m. Pacific, a Tuesday Betting Weekly Live, where we do have those NBA Cup quarters. We have a lot of hockey, a lot of college basketball, including Doug Jimmy V Classic tomorrow night, right? At the Garden. UConn, Florida tomorrow night, I believe, if I'm correct. That's the second game, right, Doug? I think they're the nightcap.
Yes, they are.
BYU is playing in the first game there at the Garden. So a really good night of college hoops. And we will start to look ahead to NFL Week 15. Down the stretch, we come here with 4 games to go, and thankfully we're done with the buys as well. All right, Betting Weekly Live, Mike Carver, Doug Kezirian. Everyone have a great night. Enjoy the games, and we'll see you back here tomorrow on Betting Weekly Studios.